What's going on, everyone? So yesterday, in a shocking move, the Minnesota Timberwolves traded Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks in exchange for Julius Randle, as well as Donte DiVincenzo, and a first-round pick. But there's like protections and stuff with that. So really boiled down to Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo, and even more so, Julius Randle. Now, this in many ways is a casualty of the new CBA. The Minnesota Timberwolves were going to have to make decisions at some point, and with the emergence of Naz Reid and just how good he's been for Minnesota, it kind of made Karl Anthony Towns expendable. However, the question is, was Julius Randle and Donte DiVincenzo worth giving up Karl Anthony Towns, right? Could you have been a little more patient and maybe have gotten an even bigger, better return from some other team? I understand that the Minnesota Timberwolves are kind of in a position of win now, as opposed to, hey, we're trying to do this rebuild. But still, like, there are several teams out there that maybe could have gotten you some interesting pieces, that maybe gave you some upgrade, or maybe even just better added depth to where could have moved Naz Reid into the starting lineup and maybe just had a better, deeper bench even. But nonetheless, what's done is done. And the Minnesota Timberwolves now officially have Julius Randle slotting into the Karl Anthony Towns role. And the big problem is many people believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves have gotten worse. And there is a very good argument for that. Now, for the New York Knicks, they absolutely got a huge pickup in regards to Karl Anthony Towns. They're competing solely with the Boston Celtics. It's basically the Knicks and the Celtics. If those two teams stay healthy, they'll probably meet in the conference finals. And and then winner very likely could end up winning the NBA championship. The Knicks really have just rounded out this roster excellent. You really got to give Leon Rose some credit. Going and getting Jalen Brunson and then following that up with OG, and then that with Mikal Bridges, and now Karl Anthony Towns. The Knicks have just done boom, 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 boom to build a team that is a contender in a top 3 to 5 roster in the entire NBA. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves, this is a team that was just in the conference finals. And now you go and you trade for Julius Randle. And so your starting five likely looks like Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert. The problem with this is the lack of shooting, really. Now, Mike Conley, he can knock down the three ball. Anthony Edwards capable of doing so. But beyond that, Jaden McDaniels, he's kind of hot and cold at times. Julius Randle is incredibly inefficient shooting the three ball. He has had his moments. He has had his seasons. He is more of a rhythm shooter than just like a guy that could just shoot the ball well. His best season was the 2020-2021 season, in which he shot 41% on 5.5 attempts from three-point range. Outside of that, his best three-point percentage season was 34.4%. Last year, he shot 31.1% from three-point range on 5.3 attempts, and in 2022-2023, shot 34.3% on 8.3 attempts. Not really a great three-point shooter, and then, Rudy Gobert basically is non-existent. So the problem is the floor spacing, and particularly with Anthony Edwards, right? And then we'll touch on the Julius Randle part. Anthony Edwards is one of, if not the best rim pressure players in the entire league. He is the best rim pressure guard in the entire league because of his explosiveness, because of his hyper athleticism, and just his ability to get to the basket. It was clunky at times with Cat and Rudy Gobert. Now you have Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert, right? Like, why would anybody go out and contest Julius Randle when he's shooting 31% from three? Now, if he can get back up to 41%, now teams are going to have to contest that. But if you're anybody, why wouldn't you just pack the paint and just live with Julius Randle shooting threes rather than Anthony Edwards just getting to the basket at will? This just makes things so much more difficult for Anthony Edwards, makes things so much more difficult for guys like Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels to apply any sort of rim pressure. And then also Julius Randle. Right? Like, this puts Julius Randle in a tight spot because he's got Rudy Gobert there just kind of packing the paint. So if he wants to be aggressive and he wants to be physical, that could, again, cause a bit of an issue for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So floor spacing is really going to be an issue for them, as well as just applying rim pressure. Defensively, they're probably going to be slightly better. Julius Randle has his moments. When he's locked in and engaged, he can definitely play some defense, but he more often than not likes to take possessions off. However, with, McDaniels and Edwards and Rudy and all these guys, you might end up forcing Julius Randle to kind of just lock in and be better defensively. But as far as Julius Randle and what his impact for this team is, now, in theory, Julius Randle makes a lot of sense for the Timberwolves, right? Getting a secondary shot creator, somebody that can create for himself as well as create for others. You're talking about a guy that's, 24, 5, and 10. That's significant, right? Because Karl Anthony Towns wasn't great at creating for himself. Now, he is a guy that can, you can dump the ball down to, and he could just go get a bucket or, stretch the floor, knock down the three ball. Where Julius Randle's a guy who basically can grab it off the board, full 94 feet, get to the basket, create a play for others, create a play for himself. To me, it really boils down to what Julius Randle do the Timberwolves get. Do they get the, 24, 10, and 6 Julius Randle that was, in MVP conversations even at times, and was an all-star and shooting 40% from three-point range, or not even 40%. Can you just shoot like 37 to 38% from three, right? To where teams actually have to contest it, teams actually have to worry about it, right? Are they going to get that versatile, go get you 25, 8, and 8 on any given night? And do it with regularity, do it with consistency, spread the floor, basically show you that all-around game that he has, play bully ball, actually be good and serviceable on the defensive side. Not saying he has to be elite, but can he be good and serviceable on the defense side? Right? Like, if they get that Julius Randle, then yes, the Timberwolves, I still believe, will be very good, maybe even better, right? But if they get the, 24, 10, and 5 Julius Randle, who is very inefficient and shooting under 50% from two and is shooting 30 to 34% from three-point range and needs the ball in his hands and just doesn't fit the schemes that they're trying to play and the defense that, the Minnesota Timberwolves are trying to play, then no, I think that Minnesota is going to be actually much worse. Right? And this is a team they were just in the conference finals, right? And it just feels like they were right there. Stay the course, right? It's not like you're a team that's that bad. I mean, they were looked at as a team that was going to be in the top, 2 to, at worst, top 4 in the Western Conference. And this year, it's like, with Julius Randle and trading Cat, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to be now? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they're a play-in team at this point if Julius Randle doesn't fit. Right? Now, also, you gotta have two other concerns. And one, Julius Randle has not been a model of health recently, right? Julius Randle, and look, Karl Anthony Towns hasn't really been this great model of health either, but Julius Randle played 46 games last year. Now, if he's playing 70, 77, then sure, yeah, you're in good shape. But more than anything is the playoffs. He's been atrocious in the playoffs. I mean, dropping in 2022, 2023, dropping to 16.6 points per game, shooting, had an EFG of 43.2%, right? Shot 46.9% from 2-point range and 26% from 3-point range. And he wasn't even better the previous year, right? In which he played in 2020, 2021 and averaged 18 points, but he shot 27.9% from 2-point range and 33.3% from 3-point range. He averaged 18 points a game while taking 8.8 field goal attempts. Julius Randle has been an absolute liability in the playoffs. And Minnesota is a team that's expected to be in the playoffs. And so you not only have the fit concerns with him and the Timberwolves, but you also have the offensive and potentially defensive liability, particularly in the playoffs, right? So if this is a guy that is not super efficient, if this is a guy that is a liability, I mean, again, Minnesota absolutely could end up being worse. Minnesota could absolutely be a team that just everyone's just like, wow, like they were so promising. They looked like they were, a moment away from an NBA championship. To that's it. Call it a wrap, right? And I mean, you look at Cat. You're talking about a guy who shot 32% from 3-point range last season on 5.3 attempts. The year prior, he shot 37% on 5.7 attempts. The year before that, shot 41% from 3-point range on 5 attempts. Consistently 55+% from 2-point range. Gives you, 22, 20 to 22 points per game. He has had seasons, of course, where he's giving you 25, 26, 27. This is a guy that last year was in 62 games, was 22 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. Right? Like, it's just, and look, you add in the Dante DiVincenzo element of it, right? You could argue, okay, well, they got a little more depth, help with some scoring a little bit, but, it's really, I mean, Julius Randle is the prize. Julius Randle is what they're trading for. And how is his fit alongside this roster? I don't think it's going to be very good personally. But we'll see. Time will tell. You never know. Right? Again, if they get that efficient, versatile, do everything Julius Randle, then the Knicks or the Timberwolves are going to be tough. Be very tough. But as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you think that this makes the Timberwolves better? Do you think it makes them kind of neutral? Like, they're still roughly the same team. They do lose size, right? And that's key. You're going from a 7-footer to a 6'8" guy. Now, you could argue that Julius Randle gives you a little more toughness. Same thing with Dante DiVincenzo, that they give you more toughness. Where or Karl Anthony Towns, he's more of a 3-and-D wing than he is 7 feet, right? But he is still 7 feet. And he was better defensively against Jokic than Rudy Gobert was, right? So that's something else. And Jokic even credited Minnesota and said that one of the big things was that they had the 2 7-footers and it caused him trouble. So just something to keep in mind. But anyway, again, I feel whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.